Good morning. It is a brand new week. The Phoenix Suns might have been just gone streaking, and it's opening day week. I've got some things to talk about with the Diamondbacks. We'll make it quick. I understand. I might be the only one who loves baseball. But first, the Phoenix Suns have got some things to say. I'll see you guys in a couple seconds.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Woo. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like calluses. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up, guys? Welcome into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. How are you guys? Aaron, Michael in the chat. I'm sure some late stragglers will be on in just a minute here. If not, all good with me. I'd sit here and talk all things Arizona sports by myself if I had to for the duration of my life. That's never been why I've done this. Getting 30 minutes extra sleep or talking to myself about all things Arizona sports, but think even more specifically the Phoenix Suns. There are so many things to get to. And before we dive deep into those things, follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. And decided I didn't want to blow your guys' eardrums out there this early in the morning by sneezing into the microphone. But either way, follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. And thank you for making the Ben Garcia Show your first listen. And remember, we stream every day, 6 a.m., 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's just so great whenever you're talking about all things time zones and you just get them messed up because Arizona doesn't adhere to all that nonsense. But with that being said, let's go here. The Phoenix Suns are gone streaking. It is their longest win streak since early in the season when they started off the season. I believe it was 8-1, which feels like a lifetime ago. And I don't like to react to things that I see on social media all the time, but sometimes it's just so freaking hard. Because you see what the Suns are doing, and it is impressive, and it is fun to watch, and it is nice to see that there's some fight in this team. But what gets a little frustrating is changing the narrative of the season. And it goes to the Kevin Durant, Devin Booker pairing, and what should they do with it? And just because the Suns have won 3 games, that's what it is, right? It brings out the insane fandom of some, again, fans. Sorry about that. But you see what the Suns are doing. 3 straight wins. Wins against the lowly Raptors and the lowly Bulls. And then, of course, a really good Cavaliers team who is skidding a little bit here. 4 straight losses. I'm not sure if they played last night, but before that, 4 straight losses. So then you ask yourself, what is this team capable of? And should it change the trajectory of the offseason? Now, listen, I will agree with it as much as everyone else that the Suns built this roster wrong. But what I won't do is act like it's not Devin Booker and Kevin Durant's fault at least a little bit. For everyone that gets frustrated about the DeAndre Ayton trade, that was approved and pushed through by Booker and Kevin Durant, who were done with DeAndre Ayton. And they pushed him out the door. And I largely agreed with it because Ayton had run his course. And he's timid and he frustrates other people outside of those two. And look at the Portland Trail Blazers. They went and drafted his backup. They went and drafted his replacement this year in Donovan Clingan. They're done with him too. I remember there was a story last year where DeAndre Ayton couldn't make it to the stadium because there was too much snow outside. And you just think to yourself, that is a classic DeAndre Ayton story. It just is. And now the Trailblazers don't want anything to do with him. So I won't act like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant didn't play a large role in moving that guy out. That was largely reported that both of them were done with DeAndre Ayton. And then you go to the Bradley Beal side of things. Well, what was largely reported? Devin Booker and Kevin Durant recruited Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns. And I won't act like I wasn't okay with it. I wanted Bradley Beal here. And now the Suns have won a couple extra games, people are like, now we know what they need to do. Build around Booker, build around KD, trade Bradley Beal. Okay. Much easier said than done. But let me just enlighten you a little bit. The Suns have been trying to trade Bradley Beal for, 6 months now. They tried to move on from him already. It's an immovable contract. And the only way you're going to move on from Beal is if you give someone a bunch of things to take on that contract. And that might be worth it to you. But to think that you're going to be able to improve this roster at least even a little bit, it's just not going to happen. And so you see what Booker and Beal and KD have done, and it's largely nothing. This is as much the front office fault as it is the players' fault. I'm done acting like it's not. They didn't want DeAndre Ayton here. That was wildly reported. And they recruited Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns. Not to mention, they also recruited Tyus Jones to the Suns, and that hasn't worked out either. Maybe we'll go ahead and say that those two players don't have a career as a general manager. Now, listen, if the Suns find a way to turn the season around, and they end up making a Western Conference Finals appearance, or God only knows, they make it to the finals, sure. But this idea that you're going to be able to just build around these two is just so far-fetched. It's not happening. Because you have to move on from Beal, and the only way you're going to do that is if you make it someone's worth their while to take him. It's going to be numerous first-round picks to get off of him, and by the time you move him, you have nothing left. The only way to move on to the next chapter of the next great Phoenix Suns team is, unfortunately, trading Kevin Durant. Or you're going to hold on to him for too long, and you're going to have to end up trading both guys, and that being KD and Devin Booker. That's not something I'm rooting for, but this team has run its course. And it's fun now that this team is starting to win a couple of meaningful games. But I think an easy way to earn retweets on social media is just to say cut Bradley Beal, but no one ever says how they're going to do it. Because it's an impossible task. Trading Bradley Beal is not going to happen because no one wants anything to do with that contract. They've already tried trading him during the deadline. No one wanted him. You would have to give someone an immense amount of picks or players to take him on. Because no one's just going to take that guy and that contract off your hands. So as much fun as the last couple of games have been, the failure of the season and roster construction falls just as much on the front office as it does the players. The players wanted DeAndre Ayton gone. He's gone. They took a loss on a trade. That trade obviously wasn't very good. Toumani Camara is the best player in that deal. But you even move on from that even furthermore. And you see the additions, or you see the addition of Bradley Beal. That was Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. They recruited him to this team. They recruited Tyus Jones. Those two guys do not have a career clearly as a general manager. And you shouldn't change the trajectory of the season just because you feel like this team needs to change and move around the roster, because it's not going to happen. But I will say this. This is how the Suns are going to win games, and multiple games. This is how the Suns are going to stay competitive. And what I will even say even furthermore is, when Bradley Beal comes back, it sounds like an impossible task to put him on ice. That might cause more problems than it's worth. But there is absolutely no world where Bradley Beal should be starting on this team. He has to go back, or I guess I should say, he has to be a 15 to 20 minute guy. And if he wants to play a vital role on this team, somehow salvaging the season, he has to do all the gritty stuff, all the glue guy stuff. He has to be diving on the floor for balls, play stifling defense, hit an occasional open three. But what is not asked of Bradley Beal anymore is to be a bucket getter. We've seen what that looks like. It's too redundant, and it doesn't work on the Suns' offense. But here's the problem. I worry about Bradley Beal getting benched for Colin Gillespie, because it's one thing to put Bradley Beal in trade conversations. It's another thing to bench him behind a third-year vet. Or I guess I should say, it's one thing to set him behind a third-year player who hasn't found his spot in the NBA yet up until this point. I think that could cause even worse problems. But what we've seen is, whether it's his fault or not, this team's just better without Bradley Beal. And Budenholzer, if he just inserts Bradley Beal into the starting lineup, would be a fireable offense. We've seen what this team looks like with Beal this year. It ain't good enough. And we've seen what it looks like with just Booker and KD. And the numbers are stifling, are eye-opening. This team's better without Beal in the lineup. And that's what it has to be. No more Bradley Beal, no more nonsense in this lineup. It's not working out. So those three guys, so Booker and KD, that works. Adding Beal to that doesn't. And so at this point, Beal can come back if he's willing to take a limited bench role, which is when KD and Booker aren't on the floor, sure, hit some shots, but mostly be a glue guy. But I have my doubts that he'd be able to do that and even want to do that. So with that being said, the Suns are in a tough situation because we see what they can do when everything is clicking, and that's beat up on teams like the Cavs. But the problem is they're hardly ever clicking. All right. It's a Monday morning. Looking at the chat this morning, it's a little bare because Monday mornings normally are. People aren't jumping out of bed to get to work. So it's the perfect time for me to talk about this. And I might be the only person left in the chat who is, or I might be the only person left this morning talking about this. But the Arizona Diamondbacks are set to kick off opening day on Thursday. And this is what Arizona sports needs. Because for everyone out there upset about the Suns or the Arizona Cardinals, some of the disappointments that they've had this season, you are about to witness an actual team that has real playoff implications, and not just that, World Series implications. But let's talk about this. Last week, Torey Lovello named Zach Gallen the opening day starter. And I felt like there was a little bit of uproar because Corbin Burnes didn't get the ball. And it's clear Corbin Burnes is a top 10 player in baseball. He's a top 5 pitcher in baseball. He should likely be getting that every single season. But Zach Gallen has paid his dues. Zach Gallen has been the ace for this team. He's been the ace for this team when they went to the World Series. Now, he wasn't great in the World Series. He was largely not very great in the playoffs as a whole. But he's been the guy riding this Arizona Diamondbacks team over the past couple of seasons. And what is going to be Zach Gallen's final year with the Diamondbacks, there's no way they re-sign him to an Aaron Nola type deal, $210 million over 5 years, when he already gave that kind of money to Corbin Burnes. And I kind of agree with it. It's kind of hard to go ahead and just stack up your starting pitching with those guys. So I agree with making Zach Gallen the opening day starter. He's paid his dues. He's been the guy that's been here for a long time. He's started a World Series, 2 games in the World Series for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's been the guy. And it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone because Torey Lovullo has always been a player's first coach. And he's not about hurting feelings. That's just not him. And I can applaud the fact that Torey isn't the type of guy that continuously just goes after players. He's unapologetically him. Aaron in the chat saying, as a Brewers fan, Corbin Burnes has lost a significant chunk of what he used to be. I don't know, man. He's pretty good last year with the Orioles. Now, the clutch factor for Corbin Burnes that Aaron is bringing up in the chat, that is 1,000% fair. Very fair for Corbin Burnes. I remember when he was in arbitration with the Milwaukee Brewers, they were using film of him to pay him less money in arbitration, showing how not clutch he has been. I mean, we know that as Diamondback fans. Corbin Burnes played the Arizona Diamondbacks in a wild card setting, and the Diamondbacks didn't rattle him around, but they got 3 runs off of him, and then were able to do enough to get more runs off of the bullpen when it was time. But either way, regardless of the opening day starter stuff, I agree that Zach Gallen should be the guy. He's the guy that's earned it. Torey Lovullo's a player's first coach. He's been here for years. And believe me, this is the swan song for Zach Gallen. Corbin Burnes will have the next 5 to 6 opening day starts all to himself. I loved how Corbin Burnes acknowledged it, that Zach has been here and he's earned it. But forget any of that. I forget all of that nonsense. Because at the end of the day, it's opening day starting. And I know it means something to players, but what means more is winning. And the implication for this Diamondbacks team is the expectations for this Diamondback team are through the roof. There is no moral victories for this team this year. This is a team that is World Series or bust. You look at this roster, up, down, top to bottom. Very good players or elite position players up and down this list. Corbin Carroll, Rookie of the Year. Ketel Marte, MVP finalist. Gabby Moreno, who was injured in and out of the lineup last year. Gold Glove winner. A Gold Glover and Alec Thomas in the outfield. Jake McCarthy, who was raking lefties last year. They've got dudes everywhere. Eugenio Suarez, who largely lifted this team up from the depths in the second half of the season, just going nuclear. And you look at their bullpen. AJ Puck, Ryan Thompson, Kevin Ginkel, Justin Martinez, who just got a security-type contract that I'm not so sure that his agent should be patting himself on the back for that deal. 5 years, $18 million. Even if he's awful, that's still a very low-risk, high-reward deal. The expectations for the Diamondbacks this year, because of their lineup, because of their expectations out of the bullpen, and of course, the starting lineup, or I guess I should say the starting rotation, it's maybe the best rotation in baseball. Corbin Burnes, Zach Gallen, Miro Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, Eduardo Rodriguez. They could run a 7-man starting lineup out there. They could run Corbin Burnes. They could run a 7-man starting rotation. Corbin Burnes, Zach Gallen, Miro Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, Eduardo Rodriguez, Jordan Montgomery, Ryan Nelson, or flip those two. Ryan Nelson, Jordan Montgomery. It is a star-studded starting rotation. And when you shell out the money that they shelled out, it's up to the players now to get this team ready for a long stretch of a season and then a playoff run. Realistically, there's one team in the National League that should scare the Diamondbacks. And that's Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and the rest of the Dodgers roster. Yamamoto, Sasaki, they've got dudes too. And unfortunately, they're in their division. But the Diamondbacks aren't scared of that team. They swept that team 2 years ago. They're the reason why the Dodgers felt the need to go spend over $1 billion and backload all of those contracts. The implications and expectations this year for the Diamondbacks are massive, through the roof. And if you want to watch a team in Arizona sports that's got a good vibe to it, young players like that 2021 Suns team or the element of surprise like the 2008 and 2015 Cardinals, this is your team. Because with Corbin Burnes, Zach Gallen, Brandon Pfaadt, Miro Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez anchoring the starting rotation, and Ketel Marte and Geraldo Perdomo and Corbin Carroll and Lourdes Gurriel and just up and down star power in the starting lineup. Torey Lovello, who's beloved by the players. The only team standing in their way is the Dodgers. And there's no reason they should fear that team. But this year is a World Series or bust year. It's too much talent. And you're only going to have 1 year of back-to-back Corbin Burnes, Zach Gallen every day. Or every 5 starts, whatever. You're only going to have that for a year. Not going to re-sign Zach Gallen. This is the best the Diamondbacks will ever be under this regime. Doesn't mean that they won't win more games next year. But what it does mean is capitalize on the roster you have now. Not to mention, when this team, come the trade deadline, wants to move some pieces, they'll make this lineup even better. They'll make this bullpen even better. But it's been a lot of doom and gloom in Arizona sports recently. The Suns are, largely irrelevant. The Cardinals tailed off in the second half of the season. There's a team in the Valley that people can get their arms around, and they're a lot of fun. Young, youthful, spry, big-time talent in the starting rotation, and a manager who's beloved by the players. So it is opening day week, and I couldn't be more stoked about it. I'll probably be at that game on Friday. Not Thursday, but probably Friday. All right, guys. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Appreciate the few of you in the chat this morning. I'm sure there'll be more later on in the week. Appreciate you guys making me a part of your day. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. And until tomorrow, 6 a.m. local time, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And it's been the Ben Garcia Show.